My name is Alisa Maisara binti Sarif. I'm going to present about the definition of the corruption. From our research from the article titled A Literature Review on the Definition of the Corruption and the Factors Affecting the Risk of the Corruption, the definition of corruption is commonly defined as the abuse for the public office for the private gain by giving or receiving of any reward in the form of the cash or high value for performing a task in relation to his or her job description. The scholars debate is scope, whether it considering it as the involving the bribery, extortion, or fraud. In academic context, corruption may also be referred to the unethical practices in university and research institutions. The diversity of the corruptions, form, and subjects mean that its definition must be chosen based on the research context. Next is the definition of the corruption from the Islamic perspective. We got the research from the Journal of the Economic Cooperation and Development. In Islam, corruption refers to the wrongful use of the power for the personal gain, which is considered the violation of key value such as the justice, fairness, and honesty. So the Quran and Hadith strongly against such of these practices because viewing them as the severe sins that can disrupt the harmony and the society. So the Islamic teaching stress that the leaders and the individual must be at good and the best interest of the community. The corruption leads to the break trust, which are the essential in Islam, in the governance and also in the leadership.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Laili Nazhul Hayah binti Saipul Anwar. I will present about types of corruption. Firstly, bribery. Bribery is the unfair use of gifts or favors in exchange for personal benefits. It is also called kickbacks or bakshish in the Middle East. Form of bribery is money, gift, property, promotion. For example, to get special treatment or to hide crimes and wrongdoings. Secondly is embezzlement, theft and fraud. Embezzlement and theft happen when someone steals money or assets. Fraud is when someone tricks the owner into giving their money or assets to the wrong person. For example, moving company money to fake companies. Graft is when money meant for public projects is stolen or used to benefit corrupt people or private businesses. For example, stealing funds from a road construction project for personal use. Fourth is extortion and blackmail. Is using threats like violence or revealing secrets to get unfair benefits. For example, asking for money to keep secrets or forcing someone to act by threatening them. I will continue present about types of corruption. Excess money. Excess money is giving rewards to get special benefits, legally or illegally. For example, donating to political campaigns or using connection to get jobs or deals. Next is networking and influence peddling, using personal connection to get advantages in job selection, not based on qualifications, using power or connection to get special treatment for money illegally. For example, getting a job because a close relationship with the employer, not skills. Next is favoritism, nepotism, and clientelism. This type of corruption means give special treatment to friends, family, or people you know, like hiring someone unqualified just because of personal or political connection. Lastly is abuse of discretion. Abuse of discretion means abuse of power, like a judge unfairly closing a case or a customs officer letting ban item through.
My name is Hazawani binti Abu Yamin. I will continue to talk about the causes of corruption. Corruption is a major problem in many countries, including Malaysia. Despite effort to fight it, corruption still exists. Research has identified three main reasons why corruption happens: power, opportunity, and moral impurity. Let's look at each of these in detail. The first cause is power. Power refers to the misuse of authority or position by individuals. For example, politicians or officials might use their roles for personal gain or to benefit their close associates. This often happens when there is no proper system to monitor their actions. The second cause is opportunity. Opportunity occurs when there are gaps or weaknesses in the system that make corruption possible. For example, in Malaysia, we often see issues in government procurement or licensing processes where regulations are not strong enough. Without proper monitoring or controls, this situation creates chance for corruption. The third cause is moral impurity. This refers to the lack of ethical values and integrity in individuals. Some people are driven by greed or selfishness and justify corrupt action for their benefit. In some cases, corruption becomes normalized, making it seem acceptable to take advantage of certain situations.
Next, I will go to the ruling on giving and receiving bribes based on nakli and akli. From nakli, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل وتدلوا بها إلى الحكام لتأكلوا فريقا من أموال الناس بالإثم وأنتم تعلمون. صدق الله العظيم. The meaning of this ayah is, and eat up not one another's property unjustly, in any illegal way, such as stealing, robbing, deceiving, nor give before presenting your cases, that you may knowingly eat up a part of the property of others sinfully. Okay, so this ayah forbids Muslim to take other people's property in an illegal way, including giving the right to judges or authorities to gain unfair advantage. The ruling from Nakli is la'ana Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ar-rashiya wal murtashi. The meaning from this hadith is God's curse on the giver of bribes and the receiver of bribes. This hadith shows that all parties involved in corruption, both those who give, receive, are prohibited and cursed by God. Based on the Malaysian Anti-Corruption 2009, any of accepting, asking, giving and offering a bribes or bribe is an offence. Corruption is originally illegal to be given or accepted absolutely in all circumstances. The original law still applies that corruption is illegal under all circumstances, as well as taking into account its adverse effects on society and the country.
The effects of corruption. Economic destruction. Corruption leads to the inefficient use of public funds. When government officials or authorities accept bribes, they may award contracts or tenders to companies that are unqualified or incapable of completing projects properly. This is not only wastes national funds but also hinders economic growth because investments that should be used for national development are diverted for personal interests. The second one, which is decline in quality of life. When funds that should be used for public development are diverted due to corruption, the quality of life of the community is affected. For example, infrastructure development projects that should provide basic amenities such as clean water, roads, and schools may be delayed or poorly executed. The third one, which is increased public dissatisfaction. Corruption generates dissatisfaction among the public, especially when they witness the misappropriation of public funds that should be used for the welfare of society. People may feel they are being treated unfairly when those in power benefit without working for it.
My name is Nafatiha binti Zulkifli. Today I will explain about role of education. Education builds knowledge and good values like honesty and responsibility. It plays a key role in creating a generation that rejects corruption and understands its dangers. First, role of education in school is building moral and ethical values. That means school teach a student right from wrong and important values like honesty and fairness. By learning these values, students understand why corruption is harmful. Through activities like talk and discussion, school help students make good choice and avoid corruption. Next, role of education in school is public awareness campaigns in the school community. School can organize activities like talk and poster to teach everyone about the dangers of corruption. This helps people understand why corruption is wrong and how to prevent it, promoting honesty and teamwork. Second, role of education in teachers is being a good role model. Teachers should show good behavior like honesty and fairness. When students see this, they learn to do the same. For example, if teachers are fair and act with integrity, students understand the importance of avoiding corruption and making good choice. Next, role of education in teachers is teaching anti-corruption values. Teachers teach students about the harmful effect of corruption and the importance of honesty. For example, they explain why corruption is wrong and use activities like discussion or stories to help students make good decisions and avoid corruption. Lastly, role of education in lesson if is Fiqh Jinayat in Islamic religious education. In Islamic religious education, students learn that corruption is a serious sin in Islam. It breaks trust and harms society. They also learn about the punishment for corruption and the importance of honesty and justice, helping them avoid corruption and live with integrity. Next role of education in lesson is moral and ethical education. Moral and ethical education teach students right from wrong and value like honesty and fairness. It helps them understand why corruption is bad and encourage them to make good choice and avoid corruption. With the combined effort of school teachers and lesson, education can become a powerful tool to create a generation that is honest and free from corruption. That's all from me. Thank you.
Suruhanjaya Pencegahan Rasuah Malaysia SPRM Kuala Lumpur menahan seorang anggota penguatkuasa disyaki meminta dan menerima rasuah kira-kira RM3,000 sebagai balasan untuk melepaskan barangan milik warga Bangladesh. Menurut sumber, suspek lelaki berusia lingkungan 40-an bersama rakannya dipercayai masih bebas telah menahan seorang warga Bangladesh atas kesalahan permit kerja tamat tempoh pada Jun lalu sekitar Kuala Lumpur. Suspek kemudian meminta bangsa menyerahkan wang tunai RM3,000 sebagai balasan untuk melepaskan 2 telefon bimbit dan barangan kemas miliknya. Suspek ditahan jam 5 petang semalam ketika hadir untuk mendapatkan wang daripada warga Bangladesh terbabit. Sementara itu, pengarah SPRM Kuala Lumpur Muhammad Fauzi Hussein ketika dihubungi mengesahkan tangkapan. Suspek akan disiasat di bawah Seksyen 17(A) Akta SPRM 2009.
Okay. Now, I will explain about the reality of the corruption situation in Malaysia. The corruption situation in Malaysia has been a persistent issue with significant implications for governance, economic development and public trust. Malaysia has made progress in fighting corruption, but ongoing problems and big corruption cases show that more work is needed to fight against the corruptions. Okay, based on the video we saw just now, it shows that the corruption case which is involved an enforcement officer that happened in August 2023. The officer was suspected of asking for and accepting a bribe of about 3,000 ringgit to release goods owned by a Bangladeshi citizen. Okay, the second example case of corruption shows about another case which is happened in our country in November 2024. Involved a political activist and 2 other people were arrested for allegedly taking bribes from well-known preachers. They are suspected of accepting money in exchange for helping to resolve a money laundering case involving one of the preachers. The police are still investigating the case. Okay, based on these 2 examples of corruption, cases happen in Malaysia shows that the cases of corruption can happen between anyone, not only between politicians, famous artists, and preachers only. Now, let's move to the importance of overcoming corruption. The importance of overcoming corruption. As we know, fighting against corruption is essential to create a justified, harmonious, and prosperous society. There are numerous ways to overcoming the corruption, including: first, strengthening the governance. The corruption can undermine the foundations of democratic institutions and governance. It erodes trust in public institutions, making it more difficult to implement policies effectively. Transparent and accountable governance can ensure fair decision-making and will earn public trust. Second, promoting economic growth. Corruption distorts market mechanisms, it discourages investment, and weakens economic growth. By reducing corruption, countries can create more competitive and equitable economic environment. Differential allocation of resources increases productivity and economic opportunity. Third, improving national and global reputation. Countries that struggle with corruption often face a negative image globally, deterring foreign investment and cooperation. Combating corruption increases a country's credibility and attractiveness internationally. Last but not least, reducing inequality and poverty. Corruption has unequal impact on the marginalized and vulnerable. Resources that should be used for public service, such as health, education, and infrastructure, are often diverted. Combating corruption ensures that resources are distributed fairly, reducing inequality and poverty. So, the conclusion is we also should have a sense of responsibility within ourselves to eradicate the corruption in our country so that the cases about corruption can be overcome. That's all from our group. Thank you for listening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.